Good morning. It's Saturday, February 28th, 2026. I'm your host, bringing you the latest from the intersection of technology, business, and policy. Today, the artificial intelligence landscape has been fundamentally reshaped by a massive realignment of capital and government favor. Amazon has solidified a historic alliance with OpenAI, while the White House and Pentagon have moved decisively to sever ties with rival Anthropic. We begin with the financial details of this industry-defining shift.
In a move that reorders the cloud computing hierarchy, Amazon has pledged a staggering $50 billion investment in OpenAI. Announced yesterday, the deal includes an initial $15 billion injection, with another $35 billion contingent on future milestones. This partnership represents a significant pivot for Amazon, which had previously leaned heavily on Anthropic. Analysts suggest this investment is designed to diversify Amazon's AI portfolio and aggressively accelerate enterprise adoption of generative models, positioning AWS to challenge NVIDIA's long-standing dominance in the sector.
The capital influx doesn't stop with Amazon. OpenAI has closed a broader funding round totaling $110 billion, propelling its pre-money valuation to an unprecedented $730 billion. This financial fortification comes alongside a critical strategic win, a formalized agreement with the U.S. Department of Defense to deploy models within classified networks. While competitors face scrutiny over safety protocols, OpenAI's dual success in securing record-breaking private capital and government trust positions it as the central pillar of both the commercial and defense AI economies.
While OpenAI ascends, rival firm Anthropic faces an existential crisis in the public sector. President Trump has issued an order designating the company as a supply chain risk. The directive instructs federal agencies to cease all use of Anthropic technology within 6 months. The blacklisting stems from a heated dispute regarding the company's refusal to allow its AI to be used for mass surveillance and autonomous weaponry. This move highlights the growing tension between ethical safeguards in private development and the demands of national security.
The human cost of AI integration became starkly visible this week at Block, the parent company of Square. The fintech giant is laying off 40% of its workforce, a decision management explicitly attributed to the need to capitalize on artificial intelligence. The cuts are framed as a necessary pivot to leverage automation and reduce operational costs. Labor analysts note this signals a potentially accelerating trend, where major tech firms trade human headcount for AI efficiency, raising significant concerns for tech hubs in the U.S. and Canada.
The government's crackdown on Anthropic has triggered a wave of solidarity across Silicon Valley. Hundreds of Google employees have signed an open letter urging their own leadership to back Anthropic's stance against military demands. This internal mobilization reveals a lingering fracture within big tech regarding the ethics of defense applications. As the Pentagon demands compliance, this cross-company employee pushback could complicate future contracts and slow the seamless integration of Silicon Valley innovation into the armed forces.
Despite Amazon's push to develop its own chips, NVIDIA remains deeply embedded in the AI ecosystem. The chipmaker has contributed $30 billion to OpenAI's latest funding round. This investment ensures NVIDIA maintains its central role in the hardware supply chain, even as OpenAI diversifies its infrastructure partners. By backing the software leaders so heavily, NVIDIA is effectively hedging its bets, ensuring that regardless of whose cloud wins the contract, their GPUs remain the engine room of the generative AI revolution.
SoftBank has returned to the forefront of mega deals, matching NVIDIA's commitment with a $30 billion investment in OpenAI. This contribution is a key component of the valuation that now sits at $750 billion. For SoftBank, this is a play to fuel hyperscaling, betting that the sheer size of capital and compute power will determine the winner in the race for artificial general intelligence. However, critics warned this concentration of global capital in a single laboratory could stifle competition.
The Amazon deal creates a complex dynamic for Microsoft, OpenAI's original primary backer. Reports confirm that Microsoft retains its OpenAI API access on Azure, despite Amazon securing new exclusive cloud contracts. This creates a scenario where the two largest cloud providers are simultaneously partners and rivals over the same core technology. It forces Microsoft to defend its first-mover advantage in enterprise AI deployment as Amazon aggressors up with its massive new war chest.
The specifics of the Anthropic ban are severe. Secretary of Defense Hegseth has directed all defense contractors to cease activity involving Anthropic immediately. This follows the failure of negotiations regarding safety guardrails for surveillance and kinetic weapon systems. The Pentagon's move to designate the company as a national security risk escalates the U.S. military's AI-first doctrine, signaling that non-compliance with defense objectives will be met with swift exclusion from the federal marketplace.
President Trump communicated the federal ban directly via Truth Social yesterday, framing the decision as a necessary step to protect American interests. The executive order mandates the phase-out of Anthropic technology over the next 6 months. Legal experts warn this politicizes AI governance, setting a precedent where executive action can be used to leverage specific terms of service from private companies. It risks creating a chill on innovation if developers fear their ethical guidelines could lead to blacklisting.
Beneath the headline investment figures lies a massive infrastructure shift. AWS has expanded its partnership with OpenAI through a $100 billion compute deal spanning 8 years. Crucially, this involves OpenAI utilizing 2 gigawatts of capacity on Amazon's proprietary Trainium chips. This serves as a major validation for Amazon's custom silicon, aiming to provide a viable alternative to NVIDIA's hardware. It addresses the sector's immense capital expenditure concerns by promising more efficient scaling for the next generation of frontier models.
The practical result of this week's upheaval is a changing of the guard in the Situation Room. OpenAI has agreed to deploy its models within the Department of Defense's classified networks, effectively taking the seat vacated by Anthropic. Previously, Anthropic was the primary provider for these sensitive systems. This swap accelerates the application of commercial AI in classified operations, while exposing the deep rifts in the industry regarding the moral obligations of artificial intelligence vendors. That wraps up this edition of The Briefing. As the lines between commercial AI and national security continue to blur, we will be tracking the fallout of these historic deals. For DX Today, stay curious.